Ben Mezrich is joining us now. Good morning to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
So start off with the title. What is the 37th parallel?
The 37th parallel is this highway across the middle of the United States where the majority of UFO sightings, cattle mutilations seem to occur. And Chuck Zukowski, who had spent his life researching UFOs, travels along the 37th parallel trying to find the connection between these things.
You think of it as America's UFO superhighway.
Right, and it just seems to be a lot of different things happening along this line. It runs through, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and there's some strange phenomenons going on there. Cattle mutilations being one of the big ones. Really strange phenomenon, dates back to the 40s. Over 10,000 cows and horses have been found lying on their left side, missing organs. All of the cuts are circular, and they're completely drained of blood. And no one can figure out what's going on.
Tell us about Chuck Zukowski. How did you meet him?
Sure. Chuck Zukowski was a reserve sheriff's deputy in Colorado who was fired from his job as a sheriff after investigating one of these cattle mutilations. He then hurled himself into the world of UFOs. I heard about Chuck. I never really expected to write about UFOs. I was a skeptic. I come from a science-type background. But after learning his story and getting involved with him, I started to change my mind. And there's an enormous amount of evidence out there that I think will blow people's mind about this.
The tidbit, though, that he feels like he's always being watched.
Right.
Did that in any way change your perception of him as sort of an authority, if you can be an authority?
Right.
In this
Well,
sort of
it's
thing?
interesting. When you get into people who believe in conspiracy theories, believe that the government is hiding things, at first glance, it seems like paranoia. Chuck certainly, has an obsession into this world. The more I looked into it, though, I do believe that there's evidence of cover-ups. There certainly was a cover-up, an Air Force cover-up at Roswell back in the 40s, and that's pretty well documented at this point. So there are conspiracies that are real and conspiracies that aren't, and you have to kind of sift through them.
Most Americans believe in UFOs. I mean, when you were done with this, well, actually going into this,
Right.
Were you a believer, and where are you now?
I was not a believer going into this at all. Yeah. Now I'm much more sure, I would say, that at least once something happened that still hasn't been explained. So I think the impediments to believing have disappeared. We used to think life didn't exist outside of our world. Mm-hmm. Now we know, Earth-like planets are being found every day. We used to think they're too far away. Now we know that some of these planets aren't that far away. One of them you could reach with our technology in 40 to 80 years. The reasons not to believe are falling. And I think within the next few years, we're going to get information that changes everyone's views.
A lot of people probably recognize your name because you've written a lot of books that have been turned into movies, like The Social Network and The Poker Game. Remind me the name of the poker movie.
The movie was 21.
The movie was 21. When you had this book, though, was there a tiny part of your audience that thought, this one's a little far out there, this one's a little kooky?
Yeah, my dad. my parents, I don't think my parents were thrilled I was going to write about UFOs. I really didn't think I was going to. I thought I was going to write about this one guy's obsession, like Close Encounters. I thought he was building pyramids out of mashed potatoes, But the reality is there's a ton of evidence. There's a ton of information. And I just want people to look at it. Mainstream journalists don't look at UFOs. Mainstream scientists can't look at it. They can lose their jobs. I wanted to open this up to a mainstream audience. Take a look at the evidence. If you believe, you believe. But I think you should take a look.
So, I mean, Vanita mentioned there have been a number of movies about your books. Is there a film in this?
Yeah, we're working at Beau Flynn, who did the movie San Andreas, is making the movie with New Line. And it's looking really good. So I think it's going to be a really cool movie. Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, Ben Mezrich, thank you so much.
Thank you.